So I said it before the other day. How do we differentiate one person's protest from another? And we now have seen full-blown rioting. We've seen treason. We've seen storming government buildings, which is far worse than a Target or an auto. So I don't want to hear it. I'm all for everybody's right, but it crosses lines. It crosses lines. So don't tell me anything more about Black Lives Matter and destruction of public property. Don't tell me about, not using the legislative process. Nah, you can't have it. You can't have it your way until it's not your way, and then act the way that you've admonished to get your way back. It doesn't work that way. What I will say emphatically is this is civil war, because had somebody from another country come and done this to our country, everybody would have united in a 9/11 rah-rah sort of way and said, we're Americans, we're all in this together. Now that this is possibly brother against brother, this is what the Civil War had, where somebody went and fought for the Union and one went and fought for the Confederacy because they believed differently. How does that impact what the National Guard will do as far as being human beings first? They feel a certain way, they support a certain way. So if push comes to shove, are they going to keep people back that they agree with? Are the police going to? Is the government going to go after any of these people? Probably not. The one thing that I'm looking at is the safety of politicians who are people at the end of the day. Biden and Harris, they better have a team around them that they can trust beyond what a regular president and vice president, not to mention a lot of politicians who now are in the crosshairs of these terrorist groups, and they are terrorist groups. And they don't have to belong to something like a Proud Boys or anything else like that. I'm just talking about this, what are they called, the silent majority? Well, they're not silent anymore. They're telling us, and they've been telling us. We've known this. But now we get to look and see exactly what measures we're facing. What we're facing not only as a society, not only as a country, but as humans, and how this affects the world. So be careful. Be careful, because the people you disagree with, you just never know how unhinged they may be. Some people are going to have a sound logic, but anybody who's willing to do the things that we've seen demonstrated now are not of sound mind. Not at all. Be careful, guys. These are trying times, and this is civil war. Make no mistake. There was somebody killed today, from what I understand. And not only that, but how many other people just on a daily basis are being attacked and maligned. Civil war doesn't have to mean we line our troops up against theirs and we fire at each other. It's not going to be like an 1860s sort of standoff. But we're still seeing it. We're still seeing the divide. And it's one thing to have different ideologies politically, and you debate and discuss differently and things like that. But this is beyond reason. This is beyond, I shouldn't even say comprehension, because we've seen the writing on the walls. But what we now have to do is, for those of us who don't agree with this, regardless of your party affiliation, we have to be prepared. Be prepared to fight. It's not enough to say, I believe this certain way, and be docile about it. You have to fight as hard as the bully, harder. The bully has the energy of hate and the energy of I'm going to overtake. We can't fall back and be docile and hope that it just peaceably resolves of itself. And I'm not inciting violence. What I'm saying is be prepared on every level, mind, body, and soul. You have to prepare your mind, that you have to know what your enemy's thinking. You have to prepare yourself physically. It's not enough to fall down and let people kick you half to death. If that's what it comes to, going out to these protests, you can't do that. You have to fight back. Put people on their backs, if that's in the name of self-defense. Soul, you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. And I know that there's a lot of beautiful people who want to have a peaceful life and everything, but for peace, sometimes you have to have the war to gain the peace. And I tell people, I'm a peaceful warrior. I will be peaceful with you until you make me bring out the warrior. And that's okay. Guys, you have to be careful, but we have to be prepared. Because as from what I understand, in 4 years, this current administration says that they're going to run again. We got to tighten up. We can't continue to be divided amongst, all of these other parties and affiliations and ideologies that kind of, will scatter the vote. We have to come together. We have to find our groups, our demographics, whether it's Black, from the LGBT community, from natives to Asians. We have to find common grounds and say, we want no more of this. And it's not pushing out the Republican Party, but and in totality, we have to demand better candidates everywhere, across the board, both sides. But in the meantime, in this time, when our Capitol buildings are being attacked by its own citizens, the citizens that it really protects the most, then we have a problem. And is it a matter of time before the people who can't make it to Washington start to attack what they deem as a threat to their way of life right in our communities? Mind, body, and soul, be prepared.